What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. So I saw this story that I want to share with you guys because it seems like people of color are going to be finding this news very wonderful, especially if you live in Chicago, because Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago has decided to commemorate her 2 years of inauguration by actually doing something for people of color. She has declared that people of color are not well represented amongst the press corps. So as a result, according to this story, I'm Ready for 5 Chicago says that Lightfoot says she will only give one-on-one interviews to journalists of color. But that's a lie. That's not exactly what she said. What she said was that she was going to prioritize people of color. I don't know if that's same difference. It could be, but she said she would prioritize people of color. Now, this right off the jump, I got some questions. What exactly is the purpose of this thing? Are you only granting people of color a one-on-one interview so you can get easy questions? Is this gonna make more black people actually want to become journalists in Chicago? Does this actually help black people in Chicago? Is gonna provide better quality schools in Chicago? Is this gonna reduce the rate of murder in Chicago? How exactly does this help people of color? One of the reasons she gives is that more than half of the more than half of the state, or more than half of the city, is dominated by people of color. So I'm talking about blacks, AAPI, which is Asians, as well as Hispanics, make up more than half. So how come there are more white people at the press conference for her? So she's going to be prioritizing. So this is what is worrying her at the moment. Not that the fact that their education system is piss poor, housing is very terrible in Chicago from what I hear, and also that a lot of people are starting to move out because of the poor education. 21,000 people have been left behind in their education system because they are graduating with very terrible scores. Homicide rates has gone up more than 45% in the last 2 years. But this here is the real problem. So Lightfoot called the racial makeup of the city hall press corps an imbalance that needs to change, adding that the Chicago local media should reflect the multiple cultures that compromises it. Well, she got a good response from somebody. One of the media people that she granted an interview to said this in a tweet in response. So this is Gregory Pratt, who said, "I am a Latino reporter at Chicago Tribune whose interview request was granted today." Pratt tweeted, "However, I asked the mayor's office to lift its condition on others, and when they said no, we respectfully canceled. Politicians don't get to choose who covers them." Absolutely right, because this is one of the questions that I asked. I said, is she deliberately actually trying to get black people and Latino people to be on her side so that they ask her easy questions like, what sort of ice creams did you have today? The same type of questions that Biden would get. Oh, how is Bo? Or how is your dog doing? Or things like that. Maybe those are the sort of questions that she wants, and that's why she's kind of like pandering to them, but it is actually backfiring, it would seem, I think. Now, my own personal question is this. What's the purpose of doing this? I know that doing this is not going to help anybody. There's no black person sitting down saying that, hey, I'm waiting to see Lori Lightfoot's one-on-one interview because she's going to be interviewed by a black person. There's nobody that's going to say, hey, I just watched the news today. I heard down south side there was a gangbang shooting and 21 people died. But don't worry, everything's fine. It was read on the news by a black person. So I'm cool with that. Nobody's saying that. Nobody really cares. So what's the purpose of doing this? Well, the real purpose of doing this is virtual signaling. Everybody knows this. But why would they continue to do this virtual signaling? Well, it's simple. It works because while we're busy criticizing her, her base is busy praising her for equity. According to this particular article, it does say some people are praising him. Now what it says is, while some on the social media responded to Lightfoot's tweet Wednesday praising the move as equity and a step forward in representation, many others criticized the decision. Now, for me, like I've said before, I have a serious problem with equity, because when you are trying to do this for certain people, you are telling those people that they're incapable of actually achieving by themselves. In other words, you are actually racially biased towards certain people and you are treating them as such, as inferior to other people. No matter how you look at this, they still continue to treat black people like as if black people are inferior. I did show you guys a typical representation of what they call this so-called equity, where a dwarf person, a medium-sized person, and a tall person are trying to look over the fence, and in their own books, equity is not giving all of them equal boxes, but giving the dwarf person 2 boxes, while you give the medium person 1 box and give the tallest person no boxes at all. In other words, you still are saying that black people are inferior to all other people. But what surprises me the most is that the people that they are pandering to always fall for this, and they be like, yes, this person is really doing this, what is best for us. What pains me the most about this whole thing is that right after this woman's tenure is finished, she's going to be re-elected because she is doing the exact same thing that the Democrats have been doing for decades. And it practically works. It definitely works. Almost 90% of black people in America usually vote for Democrats. And if you decide not to vote for Democrats, if you decide not to follow the woke mob, you will be branded, you will be brandished, you will be told that you're a coon and Uncle Tom and what have you. And such is the situation that we continue to have when it comes to the black community in the US. Beginning of Insanity is trying to do the same thing but expect a different result. They continue to vote Democrat consistently and expect that something will be done, but all that the Democrats do is virtual signal, tells them what resonates with them, telling them that they are oppressed and they are going to do something about it, but never really do anything that would cause an effective change. It's unfortunate that people don't know that what matters to them the most, what they need from the government, the sort of public service you need from your government is to provide you with good educational system so that your kids can have a good schooling and education to prepare them for life. They also need good protection, so good policing. Maybe the police needs a little bit of a reform. Yes, well, they need to fight for police reform, not defund the police, but they wouldn't think about that. Theirs is that they're being oppressed by the police, and this is what they fall for. They're also thinking, hey, there's not enough people in certain places, so we need to put those people there. Instead of creating the right opportunity for the right people that make the right things work, no, they still want to base everything on skin color. This makes us, the so-called people of color, the most racist people on the planet without even knowing, because this is what we are trained to become, to think with the color of our skin instead of to think with the contents of our character. Meritocracy is now gone out the door. Mediocrity is now the order of the day. And right now they are pushing black people in forward, making them more mediocre in terms of everything that they should be achieving. This is why a lot of the people of color are still disproportionately poorer, are still disproportionately not making it as much as the white people or other people would do. Right now in Chicago, a lot of people are starting to flee to suburbs, right? Because the school system is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. A lot of people are failing. 21,000 students left behind in 1 year because schools reports is that the schools aren't properly preparing them for life outside of schools. Now, many of these woke people, I've seen woke experts, woke black people and woke white people, leftists, saying that the standards of education is too high for black people and they need to lower those standards. And what did I say? In one of the videos where I tackled this particular situation, I said at the end of the day, you are going to be producing half-baked students. There was a student in another state, I can't remember what state that was, where there was a story about a student who had a 0.13 GPA, and in a class of 120 students, he was on the top half, he was on the top 60, right? 0.13A out of 5 GPA out of 5 is the total in the GPA, and he has 0.13. And this was a 12th grader who was told to go back to 9th grade because he was doing badly. No, he wasn't doing badly. He was doing terribly bad. Like, terribly bad doesn't even start to cut it. A 0.13, not a 1.3 out of 5, a 0.13. So you have an education problem. You got people running away from your city because of the bad and poor education problem. You have poor living systems in that state, and you also have murder rates, homicides, violent crimes increasing in your state, and you got police quitting because of the defund the police rhetoric that many of you are pushing, right? But the most important thing to you right now is that the press corps is overwhelmingly white, and as a result, you want to grant to inaugurate, to celebrate your inauguration of 2 years, you want to grant, you know, or you want to prioritize, according to her, prioritize people of color presses alone. You are not going to be prioritizing white people. It's the same thing as saying I'm not going to grant white people any one-on-one interview. It's as simple as that. If you're prioritizing these people, if you have an hour to actually give one-on-one interviews and you're sharing it 10 minutes to 6 people, well, if there are more than 6 black press people out of 100, then I guess the white people ain't gonna be granted any interviews at all. It's as simple as that. This is asinine. So for me, In conclusion, I have no blame for Mayor Lori Lightfoot. She's using the same thing from the playbook of the Democrats that has been working on black people, on people of color for ages consistently, and has been keeping black people down as far as the US is concerned. But for the black people out there, many of them are starting to wake up and many of them are starting to realize, but unfortunately the process of waking up from being woke is so slow that I don't know when people are finally going to wake up and see the woke mob and the woke left for who they truly are: wolves in sheep clothing. And that's all I have to say about this. Let me know what you think about this whole bull crap in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please help me out by hitting that like button down below. I really appreciate it if you do. And take care of yourself. Have a great week. Peace and Sayas out of here. Catch you guys on the next one.